But first, Greek party leaders have sent written commitments to Brussels saying they will stick to the agreed austerity measures even after general elections in April. There are still EU demands Athens failed to fulfill, which led to the cancellation of a key meeting of Eurozone finance ministers. Greece is still struggling to secure a second bailout from its international creditors, without which it's due to default next month. Now, for more on this, I'm joined by MEP leader of the UK Independence Party, Nigel Farage. So there are reports that the Eurozone may delay the Greek bailout until after elections in April. How much do you think Athens will be able to survive until then without some cash injection?
Well, I mean, the big day comes up in March when there is a major repayment. And I guess this new stance taken by the EU today is they'll make sure there's enough money to fulfill those short-term demands. But rather than committing to the whole package, what the EU is now doing, it's trying to influence the outcome of the Greek general election. Not satisfied with getting rid of the last democratically elected prime minister and putting in a puppet in the form of Mr. Papademos, it's now saying to the Greek people, unless you vote for the right parties, unless you vote for parties that are happy to be subjugated to EU control, we will not give you the rest of the money and you will go bankrupt. And this is the kind of blackmailing game that we're now seeing from the European Union. Is it any wonder, in the face of that, that much of Athens caught fire on Sunday night?
Now, Greece is already years into recession. It's frequently missed its fiscal targets. The bailouts don't seem to be working. What makes the EU, in your opinion, so committed to the austerity bailout strategy that they've got going?
Well, remember, for 5 years in a row now, the Greek economy has contracted, and we've just got the fourth quarter figures through from 2011, which show that that contraction is now accelerating and has actually reached now 7% per annum. So, you know, the economy is actually in a sort of downward deflationary death spiral. I had a meeting in November with Angela Merkel, and I said to her, look, surely, Chancellor, wouldn't it be better for Greece to leave the euro, to devalue, and to try and get some growth back into the economy? And wouldn't it be kinder on German taxpayers for them not to have to sign blank cheques in perpetuity? Why don't we let Greece go? And her response was very telling. She said, look, we cannot let Greece leave the euro, because if she does leave, there'll be other countries that want to leave too, and that will mean the end of the European project. So the reality here is that Greece, the country of Greece and its people, are to be put to the sword, sacrificed, if you like, at the European altar, all in the name of preserving the European project. And this is a project that these politicians have been working on for over half a century, and they don't, even though it's failing, they don't want to let it go.
Now, the rhetoric coming from German politicians shows Berlin may be losing patience with Greece, but the German parliament will also have to approve a second bailout. Do you think they're preparing for the public for a no vote?
I think that if you put it to a referendum in Germany, I think we know what the result would be. No, I suspect that despite the dissatisfaction that is felt by many German politicians, I think the German Parliament, just as the Greek Parliament did last Sunday, will continue to toe the line and continue to say that bailouts are the answer. And as far as I'm concerned, it's rather like saving the cancer and not saving the patient.
Now, Greek finance ministers have said some Eurozone states want Greece out of the monetary union and accuse them of playing with fire. How unified do you think are politicians in the union at this stage?
It's cracking. It's cracking. We saw one of the commissioners, EU commissioners, Nelly Cruz, said the other day that if Greece left, it wouldn't be a man overboard situation. So even at the top, there is now a crack beginning to appear. And very interestingly, what I've seen today in the European Parliament is from the Greens and from the left in politics, for the first time in years, we're hearing real criticism. And the socialist criticism is that these austerity cuts are damaging living standards to such an extent that they're now unacceptable. So I'm beginning, you know, I'm not the lone voice anymore in this place saying that these policies are mad.
Now, Greece is not alone in this situation. We have a double-dip recession now in Portugal, Italy back in recession. Is the EU ready or even able at this point to be able to bail out all the states that are in dire straits? Briefly.
Well, I think the point about Greece is that this is the second bailout, of course, that we're talking about, but she only constitutes 3% in terms of size of the Eurozone economy. If we get to Italy, we get to one of the biggest countries in the Eurozone and in the European Union, and I don't think then we can print or invent enough money to bail out Italy. Italy is where this will all end.
All right, we have to leave it there. Nigel Farage, MEP, leader of the UK Independence Party, thanks for your insight.